Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a highly sensitive, breaking intelligence report that has, quite literally, sent shockwaves through the geopolitical landscape. We are looking at a really complex web here. It's a mix of international relations, high-level security warnings, and some rapidly shifting alliances. We're going to dissect this information layer by layer, looking way beyond just the flashy headlines to really understand the underlying strategies at play. This is a high-stakes situation involving the United States, Israel, and Iran, and we have got a lot of crucial ground to cover together. So that is the massive question dominating international news right now, isn't it? Is there a fresh bid to kill Donald Trump? Look, when a headline involves an alleged assassination plot against an American leader, it is absolutely imperative that we approach it with total rigor. We aren't here to sensationalize. We're here to analyze. We're going to impartially look at exactly what's being reported, who is reporting it, and perhaps most importantly, what motivations might be lurking right beneath the surface of this intelligence sharing. Okay, let's dive into this by mapping out our agenda. We'll start with the immediate details of the alleged plot itself. Second, we'll examine Israel's underlying motives. Third, we'll look at the president's reaction. Fourth, the divided allies, Trump and Netanyahu. And finally, we'll cover the roots of retaliation. Section 1. The alleged assassination plot, unpacking the intelligence. The core of this breaking story revolves around information that was passed from Israel to the United States just this week. According to reporting from The Wall Street Journal and CNN, this intelligence warns of a new, specific, alleged plan by Iran to assassinate Donald Trump. Now, it's really important to get the context here. U.S. intelligence agencies had already been monitoring a steady flow of threats against Trump over the recent weeks. But what makes this Israeli warning unique, and what ultimately elevated it to massive headline news, is that it reportedly refers to a highly specific alleged plan. This differentiates it from the broader chatter that intelligence agencies routinely monitor every single day. So the crucial point is this. U.S. agencies had not independently verified this intelligence, nor had they been tracking the specific plot before Israel delivered the warning. CNN's sources make this very clear. This isn't a case of two allied intelligence networks simultaneously uncovering a plot. This is information flowing in one direction. And in the world of international intelligence, the source and the timing of information are often just as significant as the information itself. That lack of independent prior U.S. verification really forces us to step back and ask some deeper analytical questions. Which brings us to Section 2, Israel's underlying motives, security, or strategy. This is a fascinating layer of the story. According to CNN sources, some U.S. officials actually believe that this intelligence warning might be functioning as a tool of influence. The concept of intelligence as influence is a total staple in geopolitical maneuvering. Tel Aviv may be using this specific, alarming report not just as a standard run-of-the-mill security briefing, but as part of a broader, highly calculated effort to shape the direction of American foreign policy in the Middle East. Think about it. When you present an ally with a direct threat against their leader, you inherently immediately shift the conversation and the priorities in the room. But what specifically is that influence aimed at achieving? Well, the underlying motive, according to these same U.S. officials, is a push to influence Trump's immediate decision-making process regarding Iran. Specifically, the goal appears to be swaying the United States toward intensifying American military action against Tehran. By elevating the threat level directly to the president's personal safety, the calculus for military escalation changes significantly. It is a stark reminder that in geopolitics, intelligence is rarely shared in a vacuum. It almost always comes attached to a desired policy outcome. Moving on to Section 3, the president's reaction, speaking in Ankara. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how remarkably candid Donald Trump was when addressing this situation. While speaking to reporters in Ankara, Turkey, he said, and I quote, "They want to take out the U.S. leader, me. I'm on every list I saw this morning. I'm on every single one of their lists." He even casually added that he guesses he's been a little bit lucky so far, but that might not last long. He also mentioned learning recently of a new list ranking him as Iran's top target, though the White House actually declined to confirm if he was explicitly talking about this new Israeli intelligence. The stark contrast between the grave, shadowy nature of this alleged plot and his rather matter-of-fact public acknowledgement is pretty striking. Section 4. Divided allies, Trump and Netanyahu. And this brilliantly illustrates the deep friction right at the very top. As reported by The Wall Street Journal, these two historic allies are currently deeply divided over the entire direction of the conflict with Iran. On one side, you've got Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is aggressively arguing for continuing military operations against Iran to secure additional war objectives. On the other side, you have Donald Trump, who is actively seeking an exit ramp from the conflict, heavily driven by concerns over the wider economic consequences a protracted war would have. This is a massive strategic divergence. The two leaders did actually speak by phone on Thursday to discuss Gulf activity, but this fundamental disagreement paints the Israeli intelligence drop in a whole new light. This divergence places the United States on two very contradictory parallel tracks simultaneously. On the diplomatic side, Washington and Tehran are still working towards securing a nuclear agreement by mid-August. That remains the preferred course for U.S. officials. Yet at the exact same time, U.S. forces are actively making contingency preparations for potential military strikes. It's a delicate, high-wire balancing act, for sure. The U.S. is essentially holding out an olive branch with one hand while keeping a finger near the trigger with the other. Finally, Section 5, The Roots of Retaliation, a Geopolitical History. Let's move to and see how this builds chronologically, because this animosity isn't random. It traces back heavily to 2020, during Trump's first term, when a U.S. drone strike killed Qasem Soleimani, the powerful commander of Iran's Quds Force. That single strike sparked immediate and enduring vows of revenge from Iran. Fast forward to just this past weekend, during the funeral proceedings for Iran's slain supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Mourners explicitly chanted slogans calling for Trump's death, and a massive banner was displayed reading, "We will kill Trump." And then, literally just days later, this week, Israel delivers intelligence to the U.S. regarding a specific, imminent assassination plot. You can really see how the historical grievance directly feeds into the modern immediate threat assessment. Which brings us to the ultimate question we must leave you with today. As we look at these converging timelines, historical revenge, conflicting allied strategies, and a looming mid-August deadline for a diplomatic nuclear agreement, we have to ask, what happens next? Will this explosive, unverified Israeli intelligence be the spark that derails a peaceful diplomatic resolution? Or will it be the exact catalyst needed to accelerate the very military action that Israel is pushing for? It is a geopolitical puzzle with the highest possible stakes, and we are absolutely going to be watching closely to see which path is taken. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning what you see in the headlines.